Welcome to MOOC program of Information Communication Technology. I am Dr. Gurjeet Singh from Indraprastha University, Dwarka. I hope that you are already going through various modules of the program, and I hope you are enriching yourself with a lot of knowledge on the issue. So, in the process, today our discussion is with regard to e-governance. So, I will be talking about e-governance in next 30 minutes. The overall objective of this discussion is, with regard to e-governance, is to understand or to discuss the concept of e-governance, to understand the core principles of e-governance, to appreciate the legal framework of e-governance, to discuss the challenges to e-governance. Now, each points are very important to have a holistic view of e-governance issue as such. Now, starting with the introduction of e-governance. E-governance is a combination of two words, that is electronic or e and the governance. So, first of all we need to understand the governance part as such. Now, governance is the important function of the state in a democratic framework of the government. The government has certain duty towards its subject, and that is also, in fact, that is also part of the governance by the government. After all, we know that the democracy is for the people, by the people and of the people. So, in pursuance of this theme, the government has to do various kind of welfare policy or various kind of welfare activities for the overall population or for the citizen of the country. Now, from Indian perspective, we have seen that Indian Constitution in part 4 provides the directive principles, which is a kind of obligation on the states to provide various kind of welfare activities for the citizen. And it is important for a government to have a good governance, because good governance is important for the socio-economic development of the state. So, good governance is perhaps, as per Kofi Annan's statement, good governance is perhaps the single most important factor in eradicating poverty and promoting development. So, very important statement reaching to the root of the problem, that good governance is very, very important for the state. Now, you will find that UN Millennium Goal had also set up various goals for the government to achieve during the course of the Millennium Goal. Now, the concept of governance has been defined by various institutions in different way. There is no one uniform concept, but yes, obviously it covers almost the same characteristic, it almost covers the same themes. And so, following that process, the World Bank defined governance as the method through which the power is exercised in the management of a country's political, economic and social resources for the development. So, government has to use their political, economic, social development, social resources for the overall development of the state. So, that is what World Bank defined. Then United Nations Development Program in 1997 policy paper defined governance as the exercise of economic, political and administrative authority to manage a country's affair at all levels. It comprises the mechanism, the process and institution through which citizens and group articulate their interest, exercise their legal rights and meet the obligation and mediate their differences. So, this definition is a quite comprehensive definition, which incorporate that it is not only the state, in fact the citizen also has to participate by a different way to the overall issue of the governance. Then the Canada Institution of Governance defined governance as, it is the process whereby societies or organization make important decisions, determine whom they involve and how they render account. So, that is what Canada institution defined. So, overall in the economic development and social development of the society or a country, the good governance is very, very important. Now, what is good governance, or what are the important parameters or the factors of e-governance? There are in fact 8 different parameters of good governance, starting with the first one, participatory, that any good governance requires that it has to be a participatory, saying thereby the all people, all citizen, all individual has to participate in the overall governance, or by that governance the state is governing all people and in some way they are participating. Second one is consensus oriented. So, since the best governance is where to a greater extent everyone has participated and everyone has given their consensus, right or wrong, yes or no, but in some way directly indirectly their consensus is involved. At least they need to know what kind of things are happening in the welfare of their living, welfare of their socio-economic development. Then is accountability or accountable. Then in good governance it is very important to recognize the accountability of the institutions or of the government while they are performing various duties for the society, for the citizen. Accountability has to be maintained, because without accountability there is no guarantee, or there is no hope that the things will reach to the right or the welfare activity may happen, or the activity may be done in the right perspective. Therefore, accountability is very much important. Then transparent, the system has to be transparent. Whatever mode of governance you are opting, that mode of governance should be transparent in nature. As such, the citizen should require to know, or the civil society or the stakeholder are required to know as to who are the people responsible for it and how far, what different kind of activity has been done, so that they can take the proper planning, they can do the proper planning, and it can be an effective thing. Then the next important issue is that good governance should be responsive. Responsibility has to be taken. It should be there should be proper response with regard to it. Then it should be effective and efficient. Obviously, if you want to do a good governance, it has to be efficient, it has to be effective and efficient in the sense that the outcome of the good governance fulfill the purpose for which the government is doing different kind of welfare activities. So, that objective should be fulfilled in proper way. Then equitable and inclusiveness. Everyone has to participate, every sector, every society, every kind of people or every tribe should be included in the overall good governance. Somehow they should be engaged in the governance part of the things. Then the next very important thing in the good governance is that rule of law. Now, the rule of law has to be maintained at the end of the day, because anything which you do, whether it's any activities, whether it's welfare activities done by the government, it has to be as per the law of the land. It can't be against the public policy of the state. So, rule of law has to be followed, and rule of law very much are influenced by ethical and social values of the society. So, to some extent they have to follow it, they have to give respect to it. So, these are the 8 different parameters of good governance.